Today, I want to talk about posing on camera. Part of my mission in life is to get people seen and get people heard. In my day job, I am a photographer videographer. So I'm constantly working with people whose first job is not traditionally to be on camera. Whether you started your own business and you are a creative who did not expect to be the face of a brand, and instead you thought, I'm going to make work, people are going to buy it, it'll be great. And then you realize, wait, I have to market and I have to market with myself. Yikes. That's a major realization and it's hard and it's scary. Or maybe you are in a role, whether it's a corporate role or a small business role, and you realize you have to learn how to be on camera to make content for the company or to speak at a conference. There are many reasons that you will be getting in front of a camera. We're going to talk about things I think through as a photographer, videographer that I want my clients to know when they are in front of my camera. And none of these should feel that hard or difficult, because the truth of it is, being on camera isn't hard. What's hard is forgetting that the camera is in front of you. I'm going to go through this talking about the mistakes that we tend to make with our posing and how to fix them. The first major posing mistake that I see most people make is closing your body down as soon as you get in front of the camera. Now, I want to be really clear. I know you don't know that you're doing this. Nobody really does. Sometimes you can feel yourself hunch over. You cross your arms in front of you, you cross your legs together. You feel, maybe you can feel your body closing down a little bit, but most of us don't realize how much we immediately hunch over when we get on camera. And it's such a natural instinct. It's a form of closing down, it's a form of a safety mechanism. If this is a new adventure and we haven't done this before, it can feel really scary. And our mind is like, nope, let's go back to the safe place. Let's protect ourselves. Let's not be seen. And your body actually starts to close down on itself. So usually what that happens is you end up being really hunched over, your shoulders immediately drop. And that really closes you off to the camera. And it also ultimately closes you off to your viewer. Also, sitting up straight, talking to camera, speaking confidently, all of that plays into each other. And it starts with sitting up straight. And the funny thing about straightening your back on camera is you're never going to straighten your back too much. You might feel ridiculous. You might feel like I look like I've over straightened my back, but I promise you that you don't. As much as you think you straightened your back on camera, do it again. Sit up straighter. One more time. Roll those shoulders back again. I am always working with people in front of the camera to remind them, straighten up, straighten up, straighten up. It's just because it's so natural for our bodies to go back to that position of being hunched over. It's so often our default state. We don't want to do that. Roll them back, roll them back, roll them back. Sit up straight, sit up straight, sit up straight. And if you're going to lean forward in a photo, because there will be poses where you lean forward, you don't want to lean forward from your chest or from your waist. You want to hinge at the hips. You want to keep that back as straight as possible. And you're going to lean forward from your hips. That is going to keep your lines nice and sleek and angled, because part of what we're about to talk about is bringing dimension and shape back to your frame. But one of the ways to do that is to keep that back as straight as possible. If you're leaning forward, doing it from your hips and not from your chest, because when you lean forward from your chest, you immediately hunch back over. The second posing mistake that I see that everybody knows that they're doing and they don't know how to stop doing it is, what do I do with my hands on camera? That is something that it is so scary and intimidating to people that it stops people from being in photos. That alone, I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel so awkward, and rightfully so. We are awkward with our hands in front of the camera. We are never awkward with our hands in person around people, but as soon as the camera is in front of us, we are suddenly aware of every move that we make and every inch of our bodies. And that includes all the way down to our fingertips. And so we're just like, what do I do with my hands? Am I being awkward with like fingers? It's so funny, but it is fixable. I always encourage people to, first of all, shake out those hands, shake out those any limbs. I like to dance with people in front of the camera. Like, let's get it moving, let's get it loose, because we don't want any stiffness in front of the camera that immediately reads as self-conscious. I'm not against being self-conscious on camera. I do think a level of vulnerability is perfectly wonderful. People will connect with that. I think that's good. We also want to invite people into it. We don't want our stiffness to prevent people from coming into the frame, coming into the conversation with us, the visual conversation that we're creating. So, when it comes to awkward hands and really awkward limbs, we want to shake it out. And we don't necessarily want to do anything that we probably wouldn't do in real life. Really, what it is on camera is getting back to how you exist in a casual conversation, except with a straighter back, right? That's really what the goal is. So, I always want people to loosen up at the wrists and shake out everything, including their fingers. And take a deep breath in and let it out, relax everything. Now, when we are in casual conversation with people, we are not normally crossed hand over hand. We're not usually making these little claws that we tend to default to in front of the camera. Usually, where our arms are crossed in casual day to day life is either at the wrist or at the forearm. So, shake out those limbs and let them fall on your body where they normally would. Don't think about it, let them fall. And then we're going to talk about lines in just a second, how to correct lines just a little bit to even bring back more of that naturalness, but also bring shape into your image that your eyes want to flow through. Mistake number 3 is being flat to camera. By that, I mean, when you look at the camera, you're looking at the camera straight forward, your shoulders are pointing to the camera straight forward, your knees, your hips, your feet, everything is just straight to camera. We know what the camera is doing ultimately is flattening things. That is when everything folds in on itself and creates a shapeless form. And we want to bring back dimension, bring back shape, and bring back visual interest with the lines that we create. So how can we correct for that with our posing? We're going to do that by angling ourselves. We're going to point our knees slightly away from the camera. We're going to point our shoulders slightly away from the camera. We are going to bring back lines that flow through, whether they are S curves, whether they are triangles. We're going to bring back literal shapes to the image with our bodies. Your arms, for example, if you were sitting in a chair, you might rest your arm on the arm of the chair, and that will create its own triangle and shape. And that is more visually interesting than just having your arm flat against your body. Mistake number 4. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is wanting to hide themselves on camera by choosing something shapeless for their wardrobe. I think trapeze silhouettes are the biggest offender here. Not that it's not possible to look good in a trapeze silhouette, but it does take a specific vision for a shoot to create that trapeze silhouette. And by that, I mean, you want to be creating the shape of a triangle or trapeze with your wardrobe. Like that needs to be the vision for the shoot if that is what's going to work. But otherwise, if you are choosing something without shape, something that's super baggy because you're trying to hide on camera, that is not what I recommend. I recommend shape. I recommend tying something at the waist, thinking about structure, thinking about form. There doesn't have to be a specific shape that you create, but I do recommend bringing back structure into your image with your wardrobe. And you can do that not just with the cut and the silhouette, but you can do that with the color too. Don't just go for a shapeless silhouette because you have to be on camera, but you want to hide yourself. Don't hide yourself because you're already in front of the camera. Make the most of it, embrace it. Find a way to love yourself in front of the camera. Don't I make that just sound so easy? I know it's not as easy as it sounds, but any advice that I give to you is advice that I've given to myself. I have always had a hard time getting on camera, but I do it. And so these are all lessons that I learned too, because learning to be on camera is learning to love yourself. And that's a journey that I'm on just as much as you. Number 5 is your smile. This part is harder than it sounds. If you love your smile on camera, good. You don't need to worry about this. But if you're like me, I look at photos of myself and I'm like, wow, look at my cheeks in that photo. Our natural instinct when we are smiling on camera is to turn our smile up to 100%. But you don't need a 100% smile on camera. What we really need is like a 70% smile on camera. That reads beautifully. That reads like a 100% smile. A 70% smile doesn't feel like it looks like 100%, but it does. And 100% smile is sometimes what you're seeing when you don't like the way your smile looks on camera. But also, I want you to have variety in this. If you are always smiling, I want you to try some photos without smiling. Can you affect a different kind of look, a different kind of vibe? Or if you're never smiling on camera, what would it be like for you to experiment with that just a little bit? But playing with your smile, I think, is a really fun way of trying on a different personality, even for a few minutes.